Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'll be reviewing Star Trek Picard on CBS All Access. So this show is one of the main reasons that I even decided to subscribe to getting CBS All Access. I don't watch a ton of network television, and I'm not actually the biggest Star Trek fan, but seeing the trailer at Comic-Con, I was just so excited to check this out and see how they would do the story of this beloved character. So this series takes place many years after Star Trek The Next Generation. You are seeing Captain Picard in his French chateau. He's out in the countryside. He's living, his retired life. And then some of the ghosts of his past are coming back to haunt him. And I have to say, Patrick Stewart falls right back into this role. He is excellent. He is born to play this role. And I like this take on it as someone who is a little more grizzled, someone who is retired. They have a lot of unfinished business and that burning passion inside of them. And he plays that so well. In particular, there are a lot of scenes where he is having visions or flashbacks or almost premonitions of things that are going on, especially with Data. He had such a strong relationship with Data, and that obviously comes full circle in this series, in this episode. I don't want to give too much away, but I liked how they integrated some of the older storylines and also having some new characters, because you still get a lot of that nostalgia. You get those callbacks to the older series, but you get newer things that are moving the story forward. So at one side, everything feels very familiar, but they're also able to make a fresh take on these things. And as far as this being on CBS All Access, I was kind of a little worried because I know that they don't have the budget of like a Hulu, a Netflix, an HBO, something like that. But I thought overall it looked pretty good. I thought the visual effects were very solid. It really pays tribute to that Star Trek style. Star Trek has always been one of those sci-fi shows that feels just right. They just do sci-fi correctly. And this is another example of that in the series. Like with a lot of Star Trek properties, you're seeing the Earth in the future and the distant future, and you're seeing the integration of real landmarks, things we know today with futuristic ideas, and they're able to overlay that, and it looks pretty good. The CGE doesn't look bad. They go to Paris in this episode. They're in San Francisco. They go to a couple other locations, and even seeing his French chateau, the Chateau Picard, and having all these things that are moving around this old-timey chateau, but it's modern technology, futuristic technology. It looks really cool. As far as some of the new changes and the new characters, I thought all the supporting cast has been pretty interesting so far. They feel like people that have a lot of backstory to them, especially the people that are working in his team at the chateau, the people that are trying to help navigate his way through retirement. I like to see those relationships fleshed out. And there's also some other people. There's a lot of conversations in this series, it seems like, that's going to revolve around AI and what it means to have artificial intelligence, whether this should be created. There's a ban that's put in place in this series where you cannot create synthetic life. Obviously, that's going to become a big discussion. What does it mean? What is all the purpose of this being synthetic with the events happening? So I like that we're going to tackle some big picture ideas while still being a Star Trek adventure. The costuming is solid as always with these shows, these movies. You just feel like you can create such a big and interesting world with Star Trek. And I think that's something that a lot of fans enjoy. You can really dive into the lore and the different species and just the different ranks and just the new minutia of what makes up Star Trek. And it's on display a lot in this episode and in the series in general. As far as it goes with the action, I thought it's some pretty solid sci-fi action, some good action set pieces, particularly dealing with Daj. I thought her scenes where she's fighting and she's fighting back against these Romulans, these people you don't really know what's going on with them. I just thought that they were able to make that look somewhat realistic using the weapons, the people phasing in and out. It's interesting looking. It doesn't look cheap, it doesn't look cheesy, and it still has a nice punch to it. It seems like there's a lot of references to the older shows and older movies in this series. I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan, so some of that's obviously lost on me, but there's a lot of visual nods, a lot of nods to The Next Generation and when he was working as the captain of the Enterprise. So I think there's a lot of things that big fans of the franchise could enjoy, and eagle-eyed people may spot little things in the background. He goes into the archives in one scene. You're seeing a lot of artifacts and remnants from episodes from the show. So I thought that was really nice that they're nodding it into the fans. I feel like this is a series that's clamored for by fans. It's made for fans, and I think I feel like it excels in that aspect. Also, it has that iconic Star Trek score to it. It's something that adds just an extra layer to it. A lot of sci-fi shows, the score's a little cheesy, it's a little wonky. This is that classic orchestral, that ethereal sounding to it that makes it feel that much better. It makes it feel like it has a little bit more work into it when it comes to just the sound design, the production design. It feels like they really want this show to succeed. It doesn't feel like it's thrown together. And Patrick Stewart came to play. I feel like he's going to really excel in this role again. So yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. Story-wise, I like there's a lot of different avenues that they can take, and I'm just interested in the next episode. It has me hooked. I'm not, like I said, Not a huge Star Trek fan, but this show has me more interested to check out some of the other shows, older shows, really dive into all this stuff. So those are my thoughts on the first episode of Star Trek Picard. Let me know what you thought. If you're a big Star Trek fan, do you feel like it's done service to the character, continued the story in an interesting way? When you're someone like me that doesn't have a ton of connections to the Star Trek universe, what do you think about it? Are you new to it? Or are you someone that's kind of interested to see how it plays out? I'd love to see those comments down below. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you next time.